Flashbangs, just one of a few tactics utilized by police and law enforcement officers all across downtown last night to disperse the crowds following President Trump's rally at the Phoenix Convention Center. Phoenix police say little violence happened there because there were a couple of protesters who started it and they handled it quickly.
So all in all, 4 arrests were made. No one seriously hurt. That's the good part. We've got Maricopa County Sheriff Paul Pinzone here to talk about that this morning. And what do you have to say about these people? Because when it gets to that point, they're not protesters. They're really just kind of idiots causing problems.
No, the order to disperse, the event had concluded. So anything that occurs after that time frame is usually those intent, with to some extent, on a confrontation. Although within that crowd, there's still folks that want to express their right to free speech, and we respect that. But I'm going to just give kudos right up front to Phoenix PD. I thought they were exceptional. You know, their tactical precision was very, very spot on with their timing, which is difficult in those circumstances. And then not only to my own office, but to DPS and the other agencies around, that collaboration of law enforcement effort brought together not only intelligence and resources, but really just an effort that was intended on one sole focus: leadership and public safety, and I think we accomplished that.
It's a very dramatic visual to see those officers in the full tactical riot gear kind of walking methodically forward. Does that, and you'll see people's responses on social media, that gives a sense of some sort of military state or intimidation for those who might be out there just to voice a voice of opposition?
Yeah, the majority are out there with good intent. Mm-hmm. It is the minority that act in a manner that undermines those efforts. Yeah. And you're right, it is intimidating, but it's intimidating by design. If you look at what happened last night in Phoenix and how it was handled compared to some other communities where they have not been successful, I would tell you that it exuded professionalism. There was no nonsense, and it was very specific of what their objectives were. And as a member of this community, you have to make a decision. Do I want to continue to contribute to what could be a problem here and escalate it, or is it time for me to go home and allow law enforcement to restore order?
It seemed like the plan going into this was to keep the protesters separate from the supporters. Did that work?
To the best of their ability. Again, you had a lot of landscaping. What do we have out there? I mean, if it was 20,000 plus 30,000 people. So once they start to leave the facility, controlling that flow is much more difficult, and we knew that there was going to be a time when they passed each other in close proximity. But there was a select few who chose to do things, throwing things at officers, they had gas, they were taking down the fence lines.
Endangering everyone around them.
And Chief Williams being decisive and her team to act immediately to suppress that issue, and I describe this as a very tight window. Act too soon and you're judged and people are critical of it. Act too late and it gets out of control. I think they hit it spot on, and what resulted was, you know, few, if any, injuries, a handful of arrests, no damage, you know, no considerable damage anywhere, and it was unfortunate, but it was managed to the best of their ability, and I think it was a success.
In advance of this, we heard the mayor say, actually request that this event not happen, and that the president either cancel or delay the speech on the heels of Charlottesville, and certainly around the rumors, involving the rumors that he would be pardoning your predecessor, and he found that to be something that would incite more division within the community. Looking back now at how things went, how do you feel about those comments?
I think you're spot on. I will tell you that leadership requires a commitment to those you serve, and you have to take into consideration what is best for the public in that moment to ensure safety and all these other factors that we're concerned about. No one is fooling themselves to say they're surprised by the outcome. We knew this would occur if the event went on. We did our best to keep everyone safe. But we have a responsibility, and the responsibility is to improve the relations within our community, to address these issues and mitigate these challenges. What did we see last night? We saw law enforcement put in a position when the job was difficult enough, where their safety was jeopardized as they tried to protect others, where we had an event that put us in a circumstance where we had to deal with a confrontational relationship with our community. If it could have been avoided, it should have been avoided and set aside for another time. And I'm very adamant about this. That is not a political statement. That is a public safety statement, and leaders own this responsibility, and we have to make decisions, and that goes all the way up to the President of the United States. What is in the best interest of the public we serve? Considerable amount of resources, considerable amount of taxpayer dollars last night, exhausted law enforcement throughout the community. Job well done. But could we have avoided all those factors and still had the same outcome in some way?
Not to get too political here, but the president did not pardon Arpaio, but said basically he was going to. What's your reaction to that?
None. I won't give a reaction because it's not worth my reaction. The men and women in the office, civilians, deputies, and detention officers, are exceptional people, and they're paying the debt for what occurred by my predecessor, the debt that was incurred. We are focused on a new day, a new narrative, and a relationship with the community where we're appreciated and respected, and we show appreciation and respect for those who empowered us. So the decision was made in November. The community spoke, and I'm going to work hard to earn the privilege they've given me, not only in service of the community, but of the men and women in the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office who are exceptional and are excited about doing things in a way that is appreciated.
Well, we really appreciate you coming by and sharing your thoughts on what happened last night.
Maricopa County
thank you.
Sheriff Paul Penzone out on very little sleep this morning, so thank you very much. We hope we can have a more restful day as the town kind of unwinds and gets back to normal after a major event. Time now is 8:11. We'll take a quick break. More Good Morning Arizona straight ahead.